Hello everybody. So I have quite an unusual video for you guys. There's a soda here and I'm going to review it. But a very sad update to give you guys is I just lost my grandfather on Friday. That was just 3 days ago. And to give you guys a little bit of a story on it is, give me a minute. He was with my grandmother, 83 years old, eating his last dinner. And then all of a sudden, he grabs his heart and he says, "I can't breathe. Baby, I can't breathe." So he says, "I'm going to go outside." He goes outside, tries to get some fresh air, and he says, "Hey, baby, Shelly, I want you to know that if I don't make it, I love you." So my Nana, she's like, "Don't talk like that, honey. I'm going to call the hospital." And he says, "Don't bother. I'm not going to make it. Don't even bother." So she was calling, hung up the phone, and then very quickly realized that he was in bad shape, hit the redial button immediately. The ambulance was on his way, and he was going white in the face. It was a heart attack that he was being hit with, and he couldn't do anything. My grandfather had a heart attack once before in his mid-40s, and he had had stents in his heart most of his life. So the ambulance shows up, and they're driving him away to the hospital, and he's just white as a ghost in his face, and they have him hooked up to oxygen machines, but it's not really doing anything because his body by this point was really shutting down. But what I can say is my grandfather lived a very good life. He never once reached a point to where he had to rely on others. He was never a physical burden on anybody, and he went out just the way he would have wanted to. Quick and fast. Nobody had to take care of him in the end, other than just taking him to the hospital. So that's the story, guys. My grandfather, he was by far the most influential, meaningful, and incredibly loving human being on this face of the earth. He was powerful. He had that thing in him where he could put the fear in you because he wanted to make sure you were going to listen to what he was going to tell you. And a lot of people felt that way about my grandfather. It wasn't just immediate family. Most people that ever had the chance to meet my grandfather, Tony, they absolutely loved and adored him. And as a family, all my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my wife, and my mom, and my Nana, and my aunt are the ones that right now, and my uncle, are probably the four that are hurting the most out of everybody right now for sure. But I'm going to miss my grandfather very much. He was a good guy, and I know that he left me in a good spot. And I'm just going to continue to move forward no matter what and use everything in my life that he taught me. So with that said, you guys, a very unusual and rare circumstance, but normal, to take a rare soda and to match it with this story with my grandfather. Let's get into the review and see what we can find out about Pepsi Salted Caramel. Here we go. So with that said, what I have to present to you guys today, in honor of my grandfather, Pepsi Salted Caramel. Let's go. Let's get ourselves 1,000 views for Papa. Pepsi Salted Caramel is very rare. It was a Pepsi Cola flavor that was officially released in stores on November 6th of 2017. And then it got discontinued on December 31st of 2017, that very same year. That's almost as rare as a Pepsi Clear from 2005, in which it was only available in Mexico. That's not even 2 full months. That's only 55 days that this drink was ever available. For those of you that might not remember, Pepsi Clear was a Crystal Pepsi variant, only available in Mexico in 2005 for the holiday seasons. And up to this very point, according to what we've read, the only thing that would even make a salted caramel Pepsi less rare than a Pepsi Clear is the fact that Pepsi Clear has been discontinued for longer. That's an incredibly short amount of time that this soda was available, which makes this video much more rare and special. It had the same flavor as normal Pepsi, but with an added flavor of salted caramel. And to note, and to make the story even more interesting, just 1 week before Pepsi Salted Caramel was actually released in the first place, there was an exclusive release that only landed in Circle K stores alongside another soda called Mountain Dew Pitch Black, in which that was only available as an icy variant. Moving forward, Pepsi Salted Caramel was also released in Vietnam in 2007. In 2019 also as a limited edition cola flavor of Pepsi. And then it was discontinued in March of 2019. And last but not least, there was also a limited time release that took place in China, but there's very little that's known about this release, and as far as any information goes about the Chinese release is to be determined, and we have not found any knowledge on that just yet. So at the end of the day, a Pepsi Salted Caramel, it might not be quite as rare as Pepsi Clear because of the release in Vietnam and China, but it's still pretty stinking rare, and it's very stinking close to Pepsi Clear's rarity. For this 20-ounce bottle, there are 170 calories, 44 grams of sugar, 45 carbohydrates, 105 milligrams of sodium. The ingredients read carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, natural flavor, phosphoric acid, salt, potassium sorbate, which preserves the freshness, potassium citrate, caffeine, sucralose, acesulfame, potassium, and it was bottled under the authority of PepsiCo Incorporation, purchased New York 10577. Let's open up this bottle and see exactly what this thing is all about. I've never had a Pepsi Salted Caramel in my entire life. Here we go. Okay, so right off the bat, you can absolutely smell that this thing is definitely 6 years old. It has that very distinct smell with it being a caramel soda. My goodness, let's just try this thing out. Wow, this thing is unique. My goodness. You absolutely can taste that salt that's in there, in the caramel, salted caramel. It's absolutely perfect. Man, I could not even imagine how good this would taste if it were a fresh bottle that was completely fresh. Let's just go ahead and dump some of this in here. Help showcase that color to you guys just a little bit better. Man, man, that's got good flavor. It actually reminds me just a little bit of Pepsi maple syrup, the IHOP exclusive soda, but it has much more of a dynamic flavor than that in special flavor. While they are similar, they are definitely not identical. I would say salted caramel Pepsi is better than Pepsi maple syrup. Wow. Wow. That's not bad at all. I really wish that this was a fresh bottle with the fizz so I could really enjoy the living heck out of it, the fireworks of it. But I can definitely tell you guys that just because the fizz is gone and it's an old bottle, it's not tainting the flavor at all. This is legit. I would give Pepsi Caramel, I would say at least 7.5 out of 10, which is a good score. Because this soda is so incredibly rare, I want you guys to go ahead and get your chance to scan the whole bottle. Just get a nice look at that. Unbelievable. The only bottle that's available on eBay right now is the guy's asking like $69.99. And I found this bottle paired with a Pepsi Fire, in which I'm going to review this next, for only like 45 bucks. Fantastic deal. So at the end of the day, I'm going to leave Pepsi Salted Caramel with an overall score of 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely not perfect, but it's pretty solid. And I'm glad that I got a chance to try this. Papa, thank you so much for everything that you taught my family and I, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, all of my cousins. You are forever going to be missed, and we will never forget about you no matter what. And we will see you very, very soon in heaven, and we know that you're in a better place. I love you, Papa.